the next film, the highly anticipated sequel, was released on May 21st, 1980. Yep, there it is. The Empire Strikes Back. And it didn't make as much money as the first film, but I think it was still the highest grossing film of that year.
Yeah.
If I remember right, 1980. And this is my favorite Star Wars film, I would say.
Yeah, this one's my favorite.
As possibly my favorite movie. Possibly. It's very hard to, pick between this and, Taxi Driver. But,
I think I would pick
it's
Shawshank.
Shawshank Redemption is a great
Yeah.
movie. First draft of the film was written by a science fiction writer, Lee Brackett. She unfortunately died before the film was released. She died while it was in production, I think 1978 or 79. But she had completed one draft of it. And even though she's credited in, if you look at written by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan, her script wasn't used. Some of the plot elements are still there, but it was from a story, George Lucas basically told her, okay, this is what the story is, gave her a synopsis, and she wrote this script. The dialogue is completely different. It doesn't have most of the famous, the big twist, Darth Vader is Luke's father, which it's hilarious watching on YouTube, kids' reactions for seeing that, and not knowing prior. Unfortunately, I had that spoiled for me. I knew Darth Vader was Luke's father.
Well, I don't know if it was spoiled for me or if it's just because I saw these all the time when I was young. I
knew beforehand that Darth Vader was Luke's father. Although that is a great scene. But in Lee Brackett's script, that's not in there.
Huh.
It's not in there. There's still a lightsaber duel with Vader where Luke loses. I don't think he loses his hand, though. I read the script, way too late at night. He's still trained. He trains with Yoda, but Yoda is not named Yoda. Yoda is named Minch, actually.
Minch.
And they don't really describe what he looks like, though, if I remember right. In the novelization, though, and the original script for The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda is blue, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Some other differences, Yoda was named Minch, and he has a fencing match with the ghost of Ben Kenobi to demonstrate how to use a lightsaber. I kind of wish this
that would have been a cool scene.
It would have been a cool scene, yeah. I kind of wish they'd include that in there. Luke also moves fruit into a basket with the Force. There's more of Yoda and Luke in the original script, actually. I think they could have taken some of the ideas from it maybe and expanded upon. I think the dialogue is pretty not very good in the original script, but they could have taken some of the plot elements from it. Luke also, it is revealed that Luke has a sister, but it's not Leia, it's somebody named Nelith, I think.
All right.
But another thing with this, because I found the script online, there's a lot of stuff crossed out. So it's not really sure what was supposed to be in there and what they were keeping out of it. Lando Calrissian is in the script, but he's named Lando Kadar. And for some reason, Bespin is named Hoth in the original script.
So was Hoth named?
I don't know, but it still looks like Cloud City, though, in the original script. But it has, a lot of ruined cities and a green landscape. And there's these natives that live there called the White Bird Clan of the Cloud People. And they fly on, snowy manta rays for some reason.
I would have loved to see this.
This would have been a very interesting...
Oh.
Yeah.
It would have been fantastic.
Anakin Skywalker was still a distinct character from Darth Vader and appears as a Force ghost on Dagobah.
Really?
He actually appears, on Dagobah and talks to Luke in one scene.
Yeah, that would have changed the series a little bit.
And he like tells Luke that he has to swear an oath. The reason Luke won't turn to the dark side is he swore an oath
to not turn to the dark side.
I, Luke Skywalker, do swear on my honor, and this is actually from the script, and on the Brotherhood of Knights to use the Force only for good, to dedicate my life to the cause of freedom and justice. If I should fail this vow, my life shall be forfeit here and hereafter. I think it was
if I screw up, I die. Okay.
I think it was forfeit, but it was very hard to read it.
Yeah, okay.
It was very hard to read it. Han Solo, at the end of the script, is leaving to search for his uncle Owen Merrick. But what's funny is like at the beginning, like I think they call him his stepfather, but he says he's not my stepfather; he's my uncle. So like, and apparently he's the most powerful man in the universe after Emperor.
Wow.
After the Emperor. Another thing, apparently, according to this script, Vader does not eat or drink.
Huh.
He like says, "Oh, I've had to like." When they're in the, they actually show what happens in the dining room.
I would have loved that scene. Why didn't they include it?
When they're at Cloud City and there's the part where, they encounter Darth Vader. Yeah.
I would have loved to see an awkward dinner scene with Darth Vader.
It's hilarious, actually. You might have to read this now. But Vader, like, she like asks, how do you? I think Leia asks him, how do you eat or drink out of that mask? And he said, I've had to avoid some simple pleasures or something like that. And oh my god. Vader is like, that's another thing with this script. Vader is like so cheesy in this script. Like he's just got these like ridiculous lines in there.
Because the only time I've ever remembered Vader being cheesy was in Rogue One. For that one scene.
Be careful not to choke on your
aspirations. Like,
aspirations, yeah. Okay, so let's get to the actual movie. So, obviously the script was rewritten by George Lucas and Lawrence Kasdan. I think they credited Lee Brackett, I think, more as tribute than anything else. Yeah. George Lucas is still credited as one of the writers, but under story by.
Yeah.
So he did have more of a hand in writing the script than some people might think. Now, like I mentioned, this was the first Star Wars film I ever saw, and I mostly enjoyed it because of the stuff with Vader and Yoda.
Vader was fantastic.
This is my favorite performance. Darth Vader is my favorite, just because he's mostly in like total command.
Yeah.
Like, aside from that part where he like sees the Emperor and like says, "What is my message?" Yeah. It seems for the most part of this movie, it seems like he's in control of the Empire. He's like just going around the ship, like choking people with things messed up, and it's just great.
I like how
you failed me for the last time.
I like how he can choke people through the video screen as well. That was pretty great.
And it's funny because Admiral Piet played Jesus in Life of Brian. Mike Python's Life of Brian.
That's pretty good.
And Ozzel played Adolf Hitler in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, yeah.
Another George Lucas production. So Darth Vader... I don't think... He doesn't kill Piet, but he kills Hitler in this movie.
Yeah, he does.
Technically. This might have been the first live action film I ever saw.
Really?
Actually. It might have been. I'm not entirely sure. But it could very well have been. And as a kid, I think my favorite was probably the next one. But this, for a long time, this was my favorite. And I would say it probably still is my favorite. I would say this is my favorite Star Wars movie. Mostly just because I just like the direction they went with this one. They could have completely cheaped out and just made a typical sequel where they just repeat the first one. This doesn't repeat the first one. They go a darker direction with this one, a more dramatic direction with this one. And they develop the characters more, Especially Vader, It's revealed he's Luke's father in one of the greatest plot twists of history.
I would have loved to be in the theater
when
that got released.
I would love to see the original reactions. Unfortunately, I can't find any video, footage of that. But I would have loved to have seen the reaction of, the audience when that was revealed.
And the thing is, now you can't really do another reveal like that in another
can't,
Star Wars film.
Because another thing is, like, the prequels kind of, like, you know, they kind of spoil it too, you know, because these films are meant to. Some people, like, if you watch the prequels first and then the originals, it's kind of spoiled. But if you watch the originals first and haven't heard all the spoilers,
yeah,
which is hard to avoid nowadays because of the internet, but
and just because it feels like it's almost common knowledge at this
I don't know
point.
how it's possible to not know that now.
Yeah.
You know.
But the thing is, you can't have a surprise like that. Like, they tried it with Episode 7, having Kylo Ren being Han Solo's kid. But you don't feel surprised when that happens, just because you're like, oh, they just did it again.
They already did it, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say this is probably best in terms of, like, special effects, probably.
Yeah.
Either that or the next film, but the ships and stuff, like, I love that shot of the Star Destroyer at the beginning, and, like, when the Imperial March first plays, which is one of my favorite tracks.
Song. Well, it's the one that I think of when I think Star Wars.
Yeah, when I think Star Wars, that usually there's some the Duel of the Fates also pops in my mind, but that's I would say that's usually one of the first tracks I think of. Part of why this is still my favorite, though, I have to say, I think it has the best climax of these films. I love all of the stuff on Cloud City. I just love the design of it and the look of it. It's probably my favorite, like, Bespin is probably my favorite planet they, like, visit. Because before that, you hadn't really seen a civilized city.
Not really.
In space. And then here you have this really cool-looking city, you know, in, like, the clouds and stuff.
And then you can't forget Lobo. The bald dude that had the computer built into his head. And that's one of the things, as much as I have a problem with the special editions, I like that the special editions expanded what Cloud City looked like. They make it look more like a big city in the special edition. They show, like, some of the civilians outside of the city. When Lando was, like, saying, you know, is Lando Calrissian, you know, evacuate, you know, stuff like that. Just everything that happens there, too. From them meeting Lando, who Lando actually might be my favorite character now. I love his great. I love Billy D. Williams' performance and his personality. He's just like, hey, you old pirate, what are you doing? But I love how he fakes him out at first too. He like says like, you got a lot of guts coming back here after the stunt you pulled.
Yeah, like he's just. I would just love to live on like Cloud City. This is this cool looking city. It's run by this like very charismatic, suave guy.
Billy D. Williams has been eager to come back to Lando, not just for Episode 9, but also in one of the new video games, Battlefront 2. He came back and voiced Lando.
He's got a great voice too. Like, but like I said, I just love the direction this one. You know, you get to see Luke training more to be a Jedi with this great character named Yoda. And that was another thing that was kind of spoiled for me. I knew Yoda was the Jedi Master, you know, beforehand. But
that's such a weird scene, by the way. Like, that's one of the few parts of the movie where I'm like, was the whole introduction to Yoda.
I liked the introduction because he's just messing with.
It's so weird. And then he pulls like an egg roll out of Luke's lunchbox.
He like messes with Luke and like he's messing with Luke and it's just hilarious. Like R2, like just, you know, he like pulls out like a flashlight or something. R2D2 grabs it. You know.
Then he beats it with the cane.
Another thing I like about this one, there's a variety of planets in this one too. You get Dagobah, you get Hoth, you get, you know, Bespin, Probably my three of my favorite planets, I would say, in the Star Wars series, you know, because I love the design of them. I like the look of them. Just a variety, you know. This definitely, you can tell this one definitely had a higher budget than the first film, you know, because it looks like more like grand, more epic, you know. The spaceships are bigger, the special effects are bigger. You got like, and the music score, like I mentioned, great music score. This has probably my favorite music cue. I just love the music when they first get to like Cloud City. It's just great. I love that. It's just good. It gets stuck in my head so much. Like, just it's probably it might be my favorite music cue from the Star Wars movies. you can definitely tell like that the Empire does strike back. It's titled very appropriately because they're losing for versus, you get like this great battle on Hoth with the AT-ATs, which I used to call robotic turtles because they look.
I can see it.
They do look like giant robotic turtles, and they're like just destroying. It's a great battle scene too.
I definitely feel like the Empire.
The asteroid scene's great too. Very good special effects.
The Empire does have a greater presence in this film.
Darth Vader. I find it weird that Darth Vader's on the cover of the first one there, the VHS, but he's more prominent in this one.
And instead they just put a stormtrooper on there.
The stormtrooper, that's understandable, because they're part of the Empire,
actually looking at the stormtrooper, it's such a great design.
It's a good design too. That's another thing. Like, I love the design of the helmets too and the ships in this.
Yeah.
I think this also has my favorite lightsaber duel of the entire series.
It is a very good one.
I love how there's another little detail I missed when I first saw it, but Luke is using both hands.
Yeah.
But Vader's just using one. He's like toying with him. You can tell Vader is a lot more experienced, and the music during it is just great. He like moves stuff to like hit Luke later in it.
It's such a step up from the original Star Wars.
I think it's a better like lightsaber duel. I think the movie's better overall.
Yeah.
I think it has a stronger story and develops the characters more. You see more of the romance between Han and Leia. You have Luke like training more to be a Jedi with Yoda, this introduces 3 of the most famous Star Wars. You got Lando, you got Yoda, and you also have Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Actually, on the DVD cover, the characters that are featured are Yoda, Lando, Darth Vader, and then Boba Fett.
The 3 new characters are.
Boba Fett is such an interesting character because
as a kid, he was like one of my favorite characters. Like Darth Vader was my favorite, but then Boba Fett was very close behind because I loved the look of him. I liked the the armor that he has. And he doesn't really say much.
No, he has 2 lines. He says, "As you wish," and "I need him alive, not dead."
He has 4 lines actually.
Oh, he does?
He has "As you wish," like you mentioned. He's no good to me dead.
Oh yeah.
He says most of these lines to Darth Vader.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me. And then put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. 4 lines. As a kid, I didn't even remember him saying much at all.
I think that's part of the reason he's so cool, though, because you know nothing about him.
But he has a presence.
He does.
Jeremy Bullock, who played Boba Fett, he based part of his role a bit on Clint Eastwood's role in the Man with No Name trilogy. And you can kind of see that. Yeah. They even added, when he's walking down the hallway, they added, the sound of, saddle spurs. Yeah. And you can hear it, very cool character. I also really like the voice they had for him, too. Jason Lindgren. The original voice for him was very good.
The original voice was awesome.
They changed it to Tamora Morrison, who played Jango Fett in Attack the Clones, but I thought Jason Lindgren did a, very good voice. Very, he sounds very grizzled, very intimidating.
So one part that I loved about this movie was
he kind of talks back to Vader.
He does,
which makes him cool. Because most of the time somebody does that, he chokes him.
Exactly.
But you can tell he does respect this guy.
Yeah.
He says no disintegrations, points right at him. And he says, as you wish. You're just going, okay, if Vader's telling you to do that, you better. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts is actually that lineup of the bounty hunters.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Just because it's such
a strange assortment of characters too. Another thing I noticed in the original script is Bossk was here. Let me find it. Bossk apparently was supposed to have tentacles.
Really?
He wasn't described as lizard-like in the original script. And Zuckuss is also he's one of the other bionicles. He's described as more human-like, like Dengar. I think part of the success of why Boba Fett is so popular was because for a while you didn't see his face.
Exactly.
You just saw the armor. he didn't really say much, but also the action figures, you know, they would fire like. Yeah. I think the original one fired a rocket, but there was some controversy because people thought kids would choke on it.
Yeah, they choke on it or like poke an eye out.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a book that was written about these bounty hunters.
Yeah.
My favorite story in that was IG-88. You know, the robot that had like the long.
Yeah,
head.
I know.
Because at the end of his story, he basically tries to start a droid uprising against the Empire. And what ends up happening is he uploads himself.
I've heard this actually.
Yeah, he uploads himself into the Death Star.
He becomes part of the Death Star.
And, but it's like 5 minutes before the rebellion comes and blows it up too. It's my favorite thing. He has hilarious. All his power for like 5 minutes and then he's dead.
I don't think I've read it, but I might have to now. But yeah, as a kid, Vader was my favorite character, you know, and Boba Fett. I don't know why. Just as a kid, I really liked the villains in movies because they looked cool.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they always got really like in a lot of, you know, movies they would get really good actors. Like Shere Khan was another one of my favorite villains as a kid. You know, mostly because I liked tigers as a kid. But Darth Vader, just James Earl Jones, like just great in that. Just
fantastic.
Amazing, great voice actor. You know. He's got a very, like, deep, like, authoritative voice.
Exactly.
You know? Like, you listen to him and you go, okay, yeah, I better not mess this one up. You know? The earliest Halloween I remember, I went as Darth Vader, actually. Like, I had a Darth Vader costume and even a lightsaber. I don't have the costume anymore, unfortunately, but I do have a Darth Vader lightsaber somewhere at my house. Yeah, it's weird, because, like, I knew, like, the plot twist beforehand, but even like watching it now, they're very like well written like twists. Like if you saw them when they originally came out, you probably wouldn't have expected Yoda to be the Jedi Master without prior knowledge, I guess. I don't know if the novelization came out beforehand. You know, maybe if you read that, you would have known, and you would have thought he was blue. So.
Yeah, you'd be very confused when you saw him.
Which I can kind of see why, because this movie definitely has more like a kind of blue, like, tone to it than, this movie just flows so well.
It does.
It's through scenes.
It's very well paced.
You got a very cool opening on Hoth where Luke gets attacked by the Wampa. He's in a cave. Han Solo comes to rescue him and like. He cuts open
the tauntaun.
The tauntaun, like puts him in there. As a kid, I didn't get exactly what was going on. I thought he was like making like Luke food or something because the intestines look sort of like tater tots or something, like the inside ones. So I thought, okay, he's making food. But then when I found out later, like, oh my god. And I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Gosh. Harrison Ford is just great.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And Mark Hamill. You can definitely tell the actors, like, by this point, we're more experienced.
Yeah.
Now, you know, by this point, Mark Hamill had done a few more movies as a Harrison Ford. There was one movie with Mark Hamill called Corvette Summer, which is a classic. Entertaining movie, but not as good as Star Wars. And you just... Luke grows more as a character in this one. I really like that. You know, that he's becoming more like acquainted with being a Jedi, and you can definitely tell he's been in the rebellion for a longer time now.
Yeah.
You know. And even like his face, because like Mark Hamill was in a car accident during the filming of the first film, and his face looks different. He definitely aged a bit. Between films. I like the stuff, the stuff of the Millennium Falcon going through the asteroid field, and they end up in the space slug.
Worm,
Space slug. As a kid, I called it like a pink space whale. It's called a space slug in the script.
I also like how that space slug had they bats living inside of it.
They're Minox. They're called Minox.
Minox.
That scene used to freak me out as a kid. Like, when that thing first shows up, even now, I still sort of jump when that thing first shows up and, like, screams, and, like, Leia's like, just... Oh, my gosh. Like, best jump scare ever, I gotta say. And I like how they're like they think they're in this cave, but they're actually inside of this huge creature.
Slug. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Luke in this one he's not on screen as much with the other actors as the.
He's mostly on screen with Yoda.
He's mostly on screen with Yoda, and then Obi-Wan shows up as a Force ghost on Dagobah. And Dagobah, I love Dagobah. I think my favorite scene in the film, or one, it's so hard to pick one, I gotta say.
Yeah.
But one of my favorites is when Luke, he's training with Yoda, then he sees a cave, and he, says, what's in that cave? And then Yoda says, only what you take with you. He goes in the cave, and he sees a vision of Darth Vader. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that still gives me chills.
It's such a great scene.
It still gives me chills when I see it, because, the music, and then it's sort of in slow motion a bit, too, and it's just, they have this little lightsaber battle, and Luke chops his head off, and you see the inside of Vader's helmet, and it's
Luke's face, yeah.
As a kid, I didn't get the significance of that. I just thought it was some weird, trippy thing they put in there to confuse you. But I think that might be foreshadowing to the big twist where Darth Vader.
See, I could see it as two different things. I could see it as foreshadowing for that, or maybe as
Luke
a warning.
Possibly turning to the dark side. Yeah, it could be that. Because another thing is, Yoda says, "Leave your lightsaber here," and previously it had said, only what you take with you.
Yeah.
That's what goes in there. He should have just left the lightsaber there. Just He's definitely more skilled with the lightsaber, but not as much with the Force in this one. Because he tries lifting stuff up. You can tell he's in training still.
Yeah.
When he's with Yoda, and I love it. I like that part where Yoda lifts up his X-wing.
Oh yeah.
And and Luke says, "I don't believe it," and then Yoda says, "That is why you failed."
The music during that scene.
The music. The music
huge swelling score.
Yeah. All the music score is just great. It's hard to pick, but it might be my favorite score of the series, but I don't know. That's impossible. To pick. But the music is perfect. But like I mentioned, Cloud City, that's where all my favorite stuff happens. The part where they put Luke and Carbonite, or not Luke, sorry. Han Solo. I'm an idiot. Han Solo, Vader tries to put Luke in Carbonite, but fails.
Yeah, because Luke just jumps.
Yeah. And it's such an emotional scene.
It is.
I rewatched it. I almost cried. Oh my god. It's just... Because, Leia's just, going, "I love you," and Han says, I know. And then just... Yeah.
Also, what a response, by the way.
That line was not originally in the script, by the way. I think Harrison Ford recommended that they have that as the line. And Irvin Kershner decided, "Oh, yeah, that sounds like Han Solo."
Yeah.
So originally the line was, "I love you too," I think. Yeah. And when they were filming, not a lot of cast members knew that... The
twist at the end.
Well, that too, but they didn't know if Harrison Ford was going to
come
back
for another
one, which is why they made it a bit ambiguous whether he he survives, but they made,
Yeah.
Not a lot of cast or crew members knew about the twist, because in the script, originally, it said, Obi-Wan killed your father.
That would have been an interesting twist.
Which would have definitely changed things a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That would have changed it a lot.
I mean, okay, hold on. Just thinking about that, it could have been used to set up another twist in Episode 6, where he's still his father. But Darth Vader said that Obi-Wan killed Anakin, which then fully turned him into Darth Vader.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm adding too many layers to this.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. There's just too much to talk about with this one. That's the problem. But Cloud City, I love the design of it. I love the look of it. It's just all the... It's a very dramatic movie. The problem with this movie, though, is when you're done with this movie, you immediately want to watch the next one. You can't just watch this one. You have to watch the next one so you get the happy ending. Spoiler, I guess, but why would you watch this if you haven't seen these movies? There's so many great lines too. I'm altering the deal, Pratt.
I don't alter it any further.
And I love the back to Lando again. I like how they think he betrayed him at first, but then it's revealed he was trying to protect his people.
Yeah.
He has his city in mind, because he's the administrator. I don't know if he's a mayor or something.
It's a nice addition because most of the characters kind of have flat-ish motives. It's like they either want to stop the Empire, or they're part of the Empire.
And Lando's like he just cares about his city. Exactly. He cares about his people. Yeah, and he's like,
it's a little more depth.
He tries to he like reveals that he didn't really have much of a choice.
Exactly.
With the Empire, like, you have failed me for the last time. I love that scene where like
that's a great
Vader like chokes like Ozzel, I think, and then like Piet's just standing there trying to look calm when he promotes him, and then there's like one guy that just turns around and just goes and just goes back to his work.
This happens every day.
It's just a normal occurrence on the Star Destroyers. Yeah. I also like the guy that he like says, "I will apologize to Darth Vader after losing the Millennium Falcon during the chase," and then like Vader, like one of the later scenes, Vader's like killed him, he choked him, and he like says, "Apology accepted, Captain."
Yeah, the first thing you see is him falling on the floor, and then you hear Vader say that.
Yeah, I think the part why this is my favorite. It's a hard pick though, because rewatching these, it was such a close call between this and the next one between my favorite Star Wars movie, but I think part of it is just the story's the strongest, and the Clouds. I just love the saying of Cloud City. A lot, and the ending, just when they're like all just standing there watching the ships go by. I love the music score there, and just
it's fantastic.
It's just a great shot too.
It is.
It's very well directed by Irvin Kershner, who actually he was one of Lucas's film professors at the University of Southern California. And the reason why he hired him, he said something to him like, you have like all the talent of a Hollywood director, yet you're not Hollywood. Because he didn't like working in the Hollywood system. The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet. I think my favorite line, though, is "Don't make me destroy you."
Oh, yeah,
Darth
that's Vader a great one.
Yeah. Just the stuff with Yoda, the vision with Vader is definitely up there as a favorite scene. Just the entire section on Cloud City.
Oh, yeah.
It's some of my favorite scenes of the series, and the music, and the duel between Vader and Luke. Like, Luke loses badly. He gets his hand chopped out, and then he like says, "Oh, I'm your father."
And then we get a giant no from Luke, which is a pretty good one.
It's just, oh man, that's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Yeah. I don't know what much else to say about it. I love the film. I love it. I like the story. I like the character development. Just the music, effects. Just it's the closest you can get to like a perfect like film like in that genre. I think. So like I mentioned, George Lucas was getting to the trivia now. George Lucas decided to avoid a major studio finance with this movie. He bankrolled the $18 million production himself using a combination of his profits from the first film and a bank loan. Although the movie was risky, it paid off several times over. Because that's another thing. This was a huge risk at the time to take the most popular film of all time at that point, and then take it to that in that direction.
Exactly.
Take it in a darker direction like that. Because when it was released, it got mostly positive reviews, but there were reviews like saying that it like felt incomplete. Like it wasn't resolved enough, which, well, obviously, it's the second film of the trilogy.
There's another movie out there.
It'd be like complaining about Two Towers before Return of the King came
Exactly.
Although I guess they already did sort of do that, because there was that Lord of the Rings movie in the...
Oh, yeah.
That was unfinished.
Yeah.
They didn't get to... Or was... It was 1978 one, right? Yeah.
I think so.
Ralph Bakshi, I think. Because I think it only covered the first two books, if I remember right. But either way, they didn't finish it. Lucas recovered his investment within 3 months of the movie's release.
That's pretty good.
He then showed gratitude far beyond the Hollywood norm by sharing the profits with his employees.
Wow.
Nearly $5 million in bonuses. Basically what happened with the... George Lucas is the one who came up with the plot twist of Vader being Luke's father. The only people that knew were George Lucas, Irvin Kershner, who directed it, Lawrence Kasdan, the co-writer, and Mark Hamill knew, and James Earl Jones knew, but he thought Vader was lying.
Ah, yeah. There was a lot of people that
David Prowse didn't even know. The guy who, David Prowse didn't even know that. Yeah, because most of the cast members had a different script.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they all had the same script, but Mark Hamill was informed. No, this is what he's actually saying. And base your reaction on that.
There was
nobody else knew.
There was an interview that Mark Hamill did a few years ago where he was talking about that, and he said that when they were watching it together, like the finished movie, he was watching it with Harrison Ford, and they got to that scene. Harrison Ford leaned over to him. He's like, "You didn't tell me that, kid."
Carrie Fisher stood on a box for many of her scenes with Harrison Ford in makeup for the height difference.
That's pretty
and have
good.
her appear in the frame with him. Carrie Fisher was a foot shorter than Harrison Ford.
Wow.
Harrison Ford was 6'1". Carrie Fisher was 5'1".
She was really that short?
Yeah, apparently.
Huh.
It's I can kind of see that, because when she was talking to the rebels when they were about to leave for the Battle of Hoth, you can tell she's a lot shorter than
I didn't know she was that short.
I don't know. George Lucas was so impressed by Frank Oz's performance as Yoda that he spent thousands of dollars on an advertising campaign to try and get him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor in a supporting role. He should have, he should have, because that's... Because Frank Oz, is a great voice, and the puppet's, very, Jim Henson helped design the puppet for Yoda, actually. He's based. I think they based his face on Albert Einstein a bit with the wrinkles and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see a little bit of E.T. in the Yoda, but E.T. came later.
One of George Lucas's goals in doing a Star Wars sequel was to become financially independent from Hollywood, and he succeeded in this goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't sure if Harrison Ford was going to come back for another one. Ford even requested George Lucas kill off Han Solo since the character had played his part already, but Lucas refused, saying he had a heroic part for Han Solo to play in Return of the Jedi. Darth Vader sarcastically inviting Han to dinner is the only time in any of the Star Wars movies that Vader speaks directly to Han.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Actually.
Yeah.
That is true, actually.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm seriously curious, what were they talking about in that dining room?
I really want to know.
I really want to know.
Because that's the only time Han Solo ever really interacts with Darth Vader.
Also, one of the asteroids during the asteroid scene was, in fact, a shoe.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm unable to find it, though. I've, watched it. I couldn't find it. The scenes where R2-D2 is submerged in the mud pool were shot in George Lucas's unfinished swimming pool. Most of the crew were hidden under the water, and the entire sequence was shot by George Lucas. I never would have guessed that.
No.
I never would have guessed that. It looks like an actual...
swamp.
Yeah, swamp. Because I think that was a set, right? That wasn't filmed on location. You gotta give them credit, with these original films. The sets are great.
The sets are phenomenal.
They're very good sets. They look like they're actually on Hoth was obviously filmed in actual snow.
Yeah.
So maybe they did film it. I think it might have filmed in a swamp or a forest or something. But the insides of the interiors of the ships and stuff, and the and Cloud City, it's very, very good sets, I gotta say. I never would have guessed so that that part of that was filmed in a swimming pool. The power of good editing and sound effects. George Lucas decided that a battle on an ice planet was necessary because he felt that it was easy to cheat in space because the background was black and you could hide errors easily. With a white background, the effects crews would have to work much harder and the effects would be much more impressive. Maybe that's I think that might be part of why that's one of my favorite battles of the series. This is a great, it looks very real.
Very real.
The miniatures and stuff look very good during that scene with the walkers and stuff walking around and shooting stuff. It's kind of crazy watching the behind the scenes stuff and seeing them working on these effects and realizing that these are size of toys, basically. Yeah. And yet they look so massive. You know, George Lucas initially called this the worst Star Wars movie and apologized for existence. He changed his mind after he found out some people believed it was the best Star Wars movie.
So wait, in order to get the holiday special back, all we have to do is get a bunch of people to say it's good?
Oh, God. Don't mention the holiday special, please. There was like a review of this from film critic Arthur Knight, who made one of the most hilarious mistakes in his review of the film when it originally came out. He said, most of Luke Skywalker's advice comes from a fascinating green-hued character named Boba Fett.
Oops.
And I'm still not certain whether he's a skillfully animated puppet or a real-live human being. That does say a lot, though, about the puppet, though.
Yeah.
It's a very good puppet.
It's an incredible...
That's not Boba Fett, that's Yoda.
Yeah. It is an incredibly good puppet, though.
Somebody wasn't paying attention to the movie. During principal photography, it remained unclear if Sir Alec Guinness would return as Obi-Wan Kenobi, as he had just had an eye operation at the time. He finally did agree and worked just one day on the movie.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't in it that long.
He arrived at 8:30 a.m. on September 5th, 1979, and completed his scenes by 1 p.m., for which he was paid 0.25 percentage point of the movie's gross, which was worth millions of dollars. That man became very, very rich after this.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's why he liked it so much. Was nominated for 4 Oscars and won 2. Best Sound, which it won. Best Visual Effects, which it won. It was nominated for Best Art Direction and Best Original Score. Which I'm surprised it didn't win those, but you know, at least the first one won a bunch. And then I think it should have been nominated for more, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor for Billy Dee Williams.
Oh yeah,
and Best Cinematography. The first one wasn't nominated for Best Cinematography, I don't think. And there's tons of great shots in these movies.
Yeah, there are.